watching The Breakdown with the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman.
And welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown. I am your host, the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman, and with me is my co-host, the best co-host there is, Mr. the MMA professor, Colin Crandall. How's it going, my man? How's it going?
Doing great, brother. Happy to be here, man. Always happy to be working with Garrett Kerman. This man is amazing, and can't wait to jump into this interesting card with you and see what's going on, man. It should be a fun week. Last week we killed it as usual, and looking forward to help people out again here.
Absolutely, yeah. We absolutely murdered last week. I profited almost 6 units on that card. We hit some pretty nice plays. I think we talked about hitting, that plus 250 decision prop.
Yep.
And I forgot. I'm just drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, mine too.
Dustin Jacoby. That's right.
Yep.
All right.
We had Chris Barnett.
Chris Barnett. Wow, what a fight there. That you called that one to a T. You called Rose Namajunas as well as your most confident bet as an underdog. Kudos to you. That was very impressive.
Thank you.
I liked Rose. Wasn't confident enough to bet her, but people were asking me my opinion. I thought Rose would squeak it out, and she did. She squeaked out another decision, but it's kind of like the same thing we see from Rose. She's 2-0 rematches. And then she's got a third rematch coming up against Carla Esparza. Oh, where we're gonna cash in on.
Yeah, well, that actually wouldn't be the third. That would. Third. You're right. It would. It's the second rematch with Carla, but would be the third rematch. You're right, and she wins every rematch. Yeah, that's she's amazing. Thug Rose, Namajunas, power of positive thinking there, huh?
Yeah, you hear her coming out. I'm the best. I'm the best. That is one of the greatest moments, of a walkout, because it's chilling, because she's pumping herself up, telling her psychologically, telling herself, I'm the best. And she came out and she proved that she is the best.
That's it. Now Brandon Moreno's using it in Spanish. He's
really?
Yep. So
I like it.
Yeah. So definitely positive thinking.
Absolutely.
Means a lot.
Like I said, it's much mental as it is physical. With the game of MMA.
It is absolutely. It's a mental game a lot, and you got to have your mind focused and in tune. Just a physiological thing, mind and body harmony, and that's a real thing. There is a science of physiology, and most of us don't have our mind connected with our body in harmony that often, and it's something help make you feel a lot better if you do.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you need that, you got to get your mind right sometimes, but life is hard and there's struggles, especially for these fighters that are, making ends meet just to be able to live out their dream of fighting in the UFC. So, I know it takes a toll on them.
It does. No fun to be famous, but not rich, but that's part of the grind nowadays in MMA.
Yep, that's for sure. And we have a fight card on top, UFC Vegas 42, the return of Max Holloway and the return of Yair Rodriguez. We have not seen him in a minute. We got a barn burner in the main event. We got some high-profile matchups here. Yadon Song going against Julio Arce, Thiago Moises, Joel Alvarez, Miguel Baeza, and Chaos Williams. What a banger. We got some low-key good matchups on a only 11-fight card, because I think we got 2 fights canceled. So that's the perks of going on a Friday night. We get through all of the cancellations. We don't have to worry about that, and we see how everybody's doing on the scales as well. That's why I really like Friday night breakdowns. We get the whole aspect of it. We listen to the interviews. We see who makes weight, who's looking bad on the scales, and then we get to see the cancellations as well. We don't have to go through, the garbage,
Right, without a doubt.
So I like it. We have a great primetime spot, 7 o'clock tonight. All right, let's get into it.
Prime time, right? Remember Chris Brown say prime time.
Prime time. All right, I like it. All right, so on our first fight in the prelims, we have a fight between Kennedy Nzechukwu. Is that it?
Actually, he's been on my show twice, and I remember he told me, because I asked him, it's properly pronounced Nzechukwu.
Nzechukwu. Okay, that's how we pronounce it, everybody. Kennedy Nzechukwu.
Yep.
Taking on Da-Un Jung. Right now, Jung is a minus 125 favorite, and the comeback on Kennedy is a slight dog at plus 105. What do you got in this one?
They keep on making my guy the underdog, and he keeps on winning. Kennedy Nzechukwu is on a killing streak, 3 in a row. He did get subbed by Paul Craig, but that aged well because Paul Craig is now subbing everyone. And other than that, Kennedy is other than that fight, he'd be 9-0 as a pro and 1-0 as an amateur. Anyway, he's been looking really good. He's the bigger man at 6'5", the thicker man as well. So he does have that size advantage. Although Mr. Jung is a big man as well from South Korea. Very tough fighters from Korea, as we know. And 27 years old for Mr. Jung, and Mr. Nzechukwu is 29. Both young men in their prime. And Mr. Da-Un Jung is also a man with a great record, 14-2-1. In the UFC, though, he is 3 wins and 1 draw, and he drew against Sam Alvey. So Sam Alvey's a tough guy. I like Sam. Smiling Sam is a super positive influence in the sport of MMA. He's a veteran. I don't know how much time we have left to see him fight because he's not going to fight too many more fights, I would think, but he's a great guy, tough guy. I look at that fight as how would Kennedy and Nzechukwu do against Sam Alvey, and I feel that Kennedy and Nzechukwu would finish Sam Alvey without a doubt, and Da-Un Jung barely got by him with a split decision. So Kennedy and Nzechukwu for the win, and I'm pretty darn confident of that. I think it's going to be probably a knockout for Kennedy.
It's going to be a good fight. It's a good fight to start the fight card.
Yeah,
these guys come to throw down. They're both finishers. If we see Jung, really, I think he leveled up a lot since the Alvey loss. I mean, look what he did to William Knight. He absolutely beat.
Really good. Yeah.
He beat him to a bloody pulp. He landed 8 takedowns. He's got some really good takedowns, very good Greco-Roman wrestling background. And I believe he's definitely going to need to use it here against Nzechukwu. It's going to be I feel like he's got good boxing on the feet, but I feel Kennedy will have the volume advantage. I feel he'll have the size advantage, the power advantage. And he has more ways of, striking too. He uses a lot of kicks. He uses his reach very well, and he does have a reach advantage. So I feel like he could take a punch too. We saw in the Olberg fight, he took a massive beating in that first round. So you could hit him with everything you got, and he's not going to go away. And that mainly believes that you're probably going to gas out before he's going to gas out.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning towards Kennedy as well. You're getting good plus money odds as well, plus 105. I think I don't think it's a bad bet at all, and I feel like he should keep his winning streak going here.
Yep, agreed.
All right, next up we have a fight in the lightweight division between Mark Diakiese and Rafael Alves, and right now Diakiese is a minus 200 favorite, and the comeback on Alves is a plus 170 underdog. Who do you got?
So almost a year and a half off for the Brit, Mark Diakiese. His last fight was a loss to Rafael Fiziev. There's no shame in that. Fiziev is a very, very tough guy with an amazing fight coming up against Brad Riddell. Before that, he had 2 wins in a row. He's only 28 years old. So if you look back, the man got into the UFC 5 years ago when he was 23 years old, and has stayed in there. He did have 3 losses in a row against tough guys. Drakkar Klose barely got by him in a split decision. Dan Hooker subbed him, and then he did lose to Nasrat Haqparast. Double tough guy, and he's training out of American Top Team now. His opponent, Rafael Alves, is a record of 19-10. is 31 years old and is only in his second UFC fight, having lost his first fight, but to a very tough fighter, Damir Ismagulov, and we hate to be matched up against someone like that in your UFC debut. But I don't think there's a lot of evidence that Alves is going to be a huge force in the lightweight division. This is a weird fight. I mean, because of the layoff of Jacasey. However, since he's so young, I've got Mark Jacasey. I have a little bit of confidence in it, but I wouldn't bet much money on it. Not only that, but what's the line on that? The line has got to be pretty substantial for Jacasey. Yeah, he's
my 200.
Yeah, I'm not that excited about that. I feel like I don't know. I kind of feel like that fight might end somewhat early, possibly, but then it might not. I don't know. I think Mark Jacasey, but I'm not that high on betting on that fight.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of confident in Jacasey here. This is arguably one of the easier fights, in his UFC career. Alves, it's going to give him the fight that he wants as long as he doesn't go for an ill-advised takedown. He's going to be.
That's definitely a step down in competition for Jacasey for sure.
Oh, big time! You talk about his 3 losses are guys that would mop the floor with Alves. I know that's MMA math. That's not the way you're supposed to look at fights. Whatever, but it's the truth. Fiziev didn't even put him out. Haqparast didn't put him out. Hooker didn't put him out. I mean, the dude's got a chin. So on the feet, he can stand and bang with Alves all day.
Yeah.
On the mat, all he has to do is just not get caught in the guillotine. But there's no reason for him to take it to the mat because he's going to have such an advantage on the feet. He's the longer of the two. He's got 5-inch reach advantage. That's massive. He's got incredibly dangerous low kicks. Rafael Alves also has been stopped due to low kicks earlier in his career. So he's susceptible to leg kicks, and he's coming from a leg kicking school in MMA Masters, Alves, which is the crazy part. But yeah, so he's susceptible to leg kicks. He's heavy on that lead leg. I think Jacasey's going to mop the floor with him on the feet, use his range, use his power, and his volume advantage that he definitely has too. Talk about Alves is only throwing 67 strikes per minute, while Jacasey is throwing upwards of 10 strikes a minute. So
yeah, you're giving me more confidence even than I had before.
Yeah, I mean, at first I'm like, oh, maybe Alves is a live dog, but then I really dug into it. I mean, like Jacasey, he's went through the ringer. I mean, he's fought really good competition, and he's hung in there with the best of the best, in the division. I know, we got a long layoff, but it doesn't look like he wasn't not training. It was just due to the COVID lockdowns and, the visa issues, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And man, going for Fiziev to Alves, the kicking game of Alves should be a walk in the park compared to Fiziev,
I would think.
So I'm going Jacasey here. I got him earlier in the week on Tuesday at -185. I'm glad I did because I saw the line starting to creep up, and I knew it was going to get over -200. So that's where it's at right now. So I'm happy I beat the line movement on that. All right. Next up, we have a fight in the women's flyweight division between Courtney Casey and Liana Jojua. And right now, Casey's a -240 favorite, and the comeback on Jojua is a +195 underdog. What do you got?
Gotcha. Before I comment on that, just to coattail on your last statement, the best of the best, those were good movies in the 90s with Sean Penn's brother, the late Christopher Penn, and Eric Roberts. You got to check those out. Point karate is a forgotten sport that most people under 40 have never even seen or heard of. You're probably an exception to that. You've probably seen or heard of Point Karate. And those were cool movies, the best of the best. They had like 2 or 3 of them. Anyway, so this is an interesting fight. 2 losing fighters facing each other, essentially, with all respect to them. And sounds almost like one of those wrestling, pro wrestling setups. The loser goes home means they're out of their UFC contract. So let's examine what we're looking at really quick. So we have Courtney Casey, the Hawaiian. She's the taller, rangier fighter with the better reach, 34 years old. So she is a little bit outside her prime. And she has fought at both strawweight and more recently here at flyweight. She has a record of 9-9. So this loss here, if she gets it, would officially make her a losing fighter. UFC doesn't keep people with less than 500 records for long. Coming off 2 losses against Gillian Robertson and J.J. Aldrich, although it was a split decision against Aldrich. I thought Casey won that fight. But anyway, this is a huge fight for her. She's got so much more experience than JoJo, especially on a high level. Fight-wise, she's only got 6 more fights than JoJo, but 18 fights against 12 fights can be a significant difference. And then JoJo, really the only people she's fought that anyone has heard of is Sarah Moras and Diana Belbita and Miranda Maverick. Diana Belbita she did beat, and Diana Belbita's mostly lost her fights in the UFC. Sarah Moras beat JoJo, and Sarah has lost most of her fights in the UFC, although that was, to be fair, that was a bantamweight fight. And then Miranda Maverick, who was on our show this past week, did put a punishment, a lot of punishment.
That was bad.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, though, JoJo has fought as high as bantamweight, whereas Courtney Casey is a former strawweight. So there's a little bit of a thought there. The JoJo is 26 years old, so she's more in her prime, and 8-4, better record than 9-9. It's tough. Hello there to Michael Cook.
Is that your new name? Is that gonna be your new nickname?
He thinks he's like a Tim Kennedy. I love that. I'll take it. Tim Kennedy's a stud, and even if it's a look, I'll take even looking kind of like him. So good to see you, Michael Cook. Always appreciate that great comparison to Tim Kennedy. Anyway, I got Courtney Casey here. I really feel like this is a no-bet fight because we don't know how fired up both of them are going to be. Either one of them are going to be. I mean, we know they really both don't want a loss, but we don't know how their training is, how healthy they are. Odds makers, like you said, they're looking at Casey, a fairly substantial favorite. I don't really see why. I mean, I guess Casey's a stud in that she's fought a lot of tough girls really close, and JoJo hasn't. So I'm leaning Casey, but I not only wouldn't lay that chalk, I wouldn't bet on JoJo, and I don't like any props on that fight. So this is a fight that's going to be what's going to be Mountain Dew and what was the food I usually associate with that? Mountain caramel corn, caramel popcorn, and Mountain Dew. Fight for me, no bets.
Yeah, so I was kind of leaning staying out of this fight, but I have to dive a little into it. I just think this is, if Courtney Casey can't beat Liana JoJo, man, you got to hang it up, and she might. Yeah. She might, because I see on her Instagram, her Instagram is all about her and her son, and I totally get that. She's a mom. She wants to dedicate her time to her kid. I get it. Maybe she's mentally checked out. She's just writing it out to the sunset, writing her contract out, fighting the last fight, and that's it. But I don't think she's going to go out on a losing note. This is arguably one of the easier fights that she's had in a lot of time. I don't remember a fight easier than this, honestly. And JoJo missed weight. She didn't look good on the scales. She was like 129 pounds. So she came in almost 5 pounds over.
I didn't even do that research. I'm so sorry, but I'm sorry to the fans, but thank you to Garrett Kerman. That's big. Sorry, continue your thought, but because of that, I really would want to stay off it, because even though lately people missing weight haven't been on this killing streak that they were before the pandemic, people who missed weight were winning like 75% of the time.
That was a while ago though. That hasn't happened in a minute. You know what I mean?
Only during the pandemic it didn't happen. For like the 10 years before that, it did happen. It was a real thing because you had that advantage. But anyway, I'm sorry. I know this is your segment. This is your part of the segment. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're right, because there was a point where a lot of the fighters missing weight were gonna win, but and it could happen here. Maybe the weight advantage does help.
And she was a bantamweight before. Yeah.
She wasn't a bantamweight. She just came in on short notice to fight Sarah Morris. Her natural weight class is 125.
Okay, thank you for that.
She did get 2 takedowns against, Sarah Moore, so there could be that avenue because we know that Casey has bad takedown defense, but of course, Courtney Casey still is a better jiu-jitsu practitioner.
So much more experience too, Casey is.
She's much more experienced. She's the much better striker. She's been at it a much longer time than her, at a higher level, might I add. So I think everything points to Courtney Casey getting, I think, one last win, and then that's pretty much it. Just like Ronda Marcos, she got her last win, and then they cut her.
They cut Randa?
Yeah.
Oh.
She got her last win. I think and then they
You're not supposed to cut someone off a win. Oh.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it is. Good analysis here. I think you're right. Casey's the longer fighter. She's got the, taller.
It just comes down to her being able to keep this fight at distance and not get in a clinch and get taken down. Which is her downfall, and I totally get that. But if she's able to do that against such a low-level fighter like Joshua, she should be able to get it done.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing. I still don't think I'd touch it, but what's your thought as far as maybe half a unit or something like that on that?
Yeah, I think I'll throw her in, a small parlay for like half a unit. Nothing crazy. I'm not loading up on her. She's not one I would load up on a juiced up chalk, line like that. But there is others on this card that I would lay the chalk on. All right, moving forward, we have a fight in the featherweight division between Sean Woodson and Colin Anglin. Right now, Woodson is a minus 320 favorite, and the comeback at Anglin is a plus 250 underdog. What do you got?
They looked like two different weight classes in the weigh-ins. Woodson is so tall he's so tall for this featherweight division. So Anglin, my boy, I had him on the show. He's a cool dude. Colin Anglin. He is 5'9", 145 pounds, 28 years old, and his record of 8-2, and he's 0-1 in the UFC, having the misfortune of being matched up against Melsik Bagdasaryan before people knew how good Melsik was. Knowing that before that, he was on a killing streak of about 7 in a row. Sean Woodson, training out of Glory MMA, 6'2" at 145 pounds. My baby brother at one point had that exact measurement, but he was about 15 or 14 years old when he was 45 pounds. And Mr. Woodson is 29 years old, the sniper. He had a hiccup where he did get caught by Julian Erosa, but Erosa had a little 2 or 3 fight win streak going during that time, and people didn't know how good he was because he had a layoff. Anyway, came back and just edged Youssef Zalal, who's a tough guy. I don't know. I don't like that much laying that much chalk. My boy Anglin is going to be angling to get in there for the takedown. That we know. To use the name, Colin will be angling to get the takedown, and I think he's going to get some. I mean, he's a double tough dude. Guys named Colin are tough. The dude's originally right, and the dude's from Michigan. The dude's another Colin from Michigan. So I honestly, I feel like it's a dog or pass for me because of how much chalk, but I feel like I would probably only put about half a unit on my boy Colin and not put him in any parlays, just half the unit. I think he's got a chance. He's going to be fighting hard. A lot of guys, Garrett, I noticed, who lose their first UFC fight will come back and win their second UFC fight, just out of sheer determination and desperation to not be 0-2 and have their back against the wall that much in their third fight. Because as we know, UFC usually signs people for 3-fight contracts. So I'm dog or pass, but maybe half a unit on the dog, England. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have much confidence in Colin Anglin. I, for one, don't believe Colin Anglin should be in the UFC. He really hasn't fought much competition outside of the UFC. He had a nice win against Naimov in the Contender Series, but at the end of the day, he really didn't surprise anybody. He just kind of took him down, controlled him as, Naimov just gassed out. That is an avenue to victory against Sean Woodson, but he's shown that he's been able to get up when getting taken down. Zalal's taking him down. He got back up. I mean, pretty much everybody that's taken him down, he's gone back up. He uses his get ups really, really well. He gets up very, very well. And then on the feet, I think it's a no contest. He has no chance of beating Woodson on the feet. So he's gonna have to get in there and take him down. But what he has on his side, England, is that he is training partners with Yusuf Zalal. So he already has what he's gonna do in there. They have it down. That could make it a lot closer than the line suggests. But ultimately, I think Woodson is just the better all-around fighter. Trains out a good camp too, Glory MMA, and his striking is superb for 145 pounds, and his long frame. I believe how much of a size advantage does this man have?
A lot.
Like a lot, right? I think it's got to be like 7 or 8 inches. 7 inches, yeah. 7 inches. And he's throwing crazy volume. He's landing 5.27 and landing at a 43% clip. So that means he's throwing upwards of 12 strikes a minute and landing over 5 strikes. That's crazy.
It's a lot.
Being as tall as he is, being that he has a 5-inch reach advantage. 7-inch reach advantage, a 5-inch height advantage. Just crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Woodson. I think he pulls it out. I think he's the fighter with the better ceiling as well. He's got the higher ceiling. Yeah, and I just think he gets it done. I'm throwing him in a little parlay as well. I know I feel like it's gonna be a lot closer than the minus 325, and I don't really like betting on Woodson at minus 325 because it's going to be a sweat because everybody goes and takes him down because they can't strike with him.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, this fight, I'll leave it at this. This fight has both names that can be used in a statement that they're trying to make to each other. Sean is telling Colin, I'm going to take you out to the woods, son. And Colin is saying, I'm England to pull the upset, bro. So there we go. Use both men's last names in a statement about this fight.
Love it.
Boom.
Love it.
There you go.
Love it. I love it. All right. Moving on in the women's flyweight division, we have a fight between Cynthia Calvillo and Andrea Lee. Right now, Calvillo is a minus 135 favorite, and the comeback on Lee's a plus 115 underdog. Who do you got?
So this is a strange fight. Why am I not? There it is right there. Okay. Cynthia Calvillo, 34 years old, so she's outside her primes. Long-time strawweight, now at flyweight. Mixed results at flyweight. She's 1-2, but she's gone up against absolute killers. She beat Jessica Ai. She did lose to Caitlin Chukagian and did get stopped by Jessica Andrade, as we had predicted that she would. I'm pretty sure. I think we may have just started to do the breakdown at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the black belt in jiu-jitsu, although I think Andrea Lee has a brown belt. She's been doing it for a little while. The better striker is Andrea Lee. She's taller. Age-wise, Andrea Lee is 32, so 2-year age difference, not that significant. Andrea Lee is coming off a good win over Antonina Shevchenko. After having lost 3 fights, 2 of them split decisions. This is a really tough one. The odds makers are, let me see different odds here. So it's Cynthia Calvillo is a slight favorite pretty much everywhere. I like, for some reason, I like Cynthia Calvillo in this spot, although I don't know why. It's like on paper, it looks like Andrea Lee. I mean, looking at the concept of how they fight, it looks like all Andrea Lee has to do is stay away from her and not end up on the bottom. But Calvillo's back is a little bit against the wall, I think, and there is something to that, having 2 losses in a row, actually. So I think Cindy's going to fight real hard and take this one, but I just think, again, it's going to be, caramel corn and Mountain Dew. instead of going to the betting window to prepare for this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in Cynthia Calvillo in this fight. I mean, all she has to do is get in there and grapple, and you win the fight. I mean, that's literally what she's got to do. If she goes in there and game plans correctly, in which I think she will, because of the fact that she's taking this fight as a quick turnaround, because she wanted to get back in there. So if she's going to get back in there, I feel like she's going to fight smart. She's not going to fight stupid and just try to brawl with somebody in that way and just try to beat them at their own game. No, I think she's coming in there. She's like, I need to get a win. So I'm going to come in there. I'm going to go and do what I got to do to get the win. And she's going to go in there. She's going to attempt takedowns. If she attempts takedowns, she's definitely getting her down. Andrea Lee had the prime fight. She finally gets a striker, Anthony Shevchenko. And what happens? What happens?
Grapples her.
She grappled her. She took her down. The striker took down Andrea Lee. That tells you right then and there that this girl cannot defend takedowns. She's got a 57% takedown defense. Not good. And then, like I said, if you got a Shevchenko sister, not the good one, taking you down, that's bad news against the black belt in Calvillo, the grinder in Calvillo. If you're underneath her, you're not going to get a triangle armbar against her.
Like
not
she
going to happen.
Against Shevchenko,
no.
right?
She grappled against a white belt in Shevchenko. Okay, so Calvillo is not going to get subbed by Andrea Lee off her back. So when she gets her down, she's going to keep her down there, and she's going to do her job and get the win. Are you concerned a little
bit of Andrea keeping it on the feet and just piecing her up and popping? No, not at all. No, not even a little bit.
Nope, okay. Not at all. No, nice. No, because if she goes for grappling, she's getting her down. If she shoots for doubles or singles, she's getting her to the mat, and relatively easily. It's not. Okay. She's not. She may get up. She's got a good get up game. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we go down the list, right, of all her fights, all the fights that she's gotten taken down, she's lost 1, 2, 3. She's got taken down in every one of her fights.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, the way you were saying you would bet this?
I would take Calvillo in this fight.
Yeah. Any props or anything, or just straight?
Just straight up -135. I still think you're getting a good line. She can get a submission. I know Andrea Lee hasn't been submitted, but it is possible. But I just think she's able to take her down. And man, you're talking about a girl that's been taken down 1, 3, 8, 10, 12, 14 times.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not as confident as you, though. Unfortunately, you still didn't convince me enough. But I think that we are on the right side, and I maybe will find.
And you also look at Calvillo. I mean, she's still not a terrible striker. She's still very serviceable on the feet.
It's just what do you call her? Lee's been a lifelong flyweight. Calvillo's only been a flyweight for 3 fights.
But the thing is, you go and look at the size at the scales. Yes, Lee's taller,
but not by much. They look pretty similar. Yeah, they look pretty similar.
And then also Calvillo's got some size on her. I think she has the strength advantage as well. I do think Lee's going to be faster on the feet. She's going to be sharper. She's going to use her jab. She's going to use her reach to her advantage like she always does. Very good striker. But against these grapplers, man, she just gets taken down and controlled. So, and she's already lost 3 close decisions. I'm not going to be on the losing end of another Andrea Lee split decision. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I remember this was the one, I think this was the fight that you said you thought of when you were swimming in the Everglades, and there was like a family of crocodiles that was right near you, and you had to decide whether you were going to get out or finish your swimming workout, and you decided to stay in there, and the crocodiles just gave you kind of like a, hey, what's up, smile. Yeah. So and this was that fight you were thinking of, I remember.
Definitely was. It's a crocodile fight. All right. Moving on, we have a fight in the lightweight division between Joel Alvarez and Thiago Moises. Right now, Moises is a -250 favorite, and come back on Alvarez at +200 underdog. Who do you got?
Man, Thiago Moises, I'll call him the Moses of MMA. How about that? So he is a mythical character. When all is over, he's gonna have had a great career. 26 years old. He's got 20 fights. He's already got 6, 7 fights in the UFC. He's 4-3. He lost his first fight to Beneil Dariush, but that aged well. Beneil is an absolute killer. That's a terrible first fight to have. Then he beat Kurt Holloway. Then he lost to Damir Ismagulov, who was a killer as well. He beat Michael Johnson with that amazing Achilles lock submission. Bobby Green he beat, and that's aged well. Alexander Hernandez, and then just lost to Islam Makhachev, but made him
4 rounds.
4 rounds, and he was making Makhachev work. So Thiago Moises is a beast. He's definitely giving away some size in this one. 5'9" versus 6 tall.
Alvarez also missed weight again at 127.5.
Not 127.
I mean, 157.5.
Yeah. Okay. And I hate when that happens too, because there's like a slight advantage, and Alvarez is already the bigger man. Let's look at Alvarez out of Spain, 18-2. He has 4 fights in the UFC, and he's 3-1. They had a mutual opponent, Damir Ismagulov, and both lost to them, going the distance. And then the wins for Mr. Alvarez, he beat Danilo Belluardo. I've never heard of him.
Belluardo. He's not in the UFC anymore.
All right, then he beat Joseph Duffy. Is that Irish Joseph? It was Irish Joseph Duffy.
Yeah, he's not in the UFC anymore.
Right, yep. And exactly. And then he beat Alexander Yakovlev by armbar. And Yakovlev is not a good fighter.
In the UFC, and he's not
in the UFC either. Yeah. So none of these guys that Alvarez still won are in the UFC. He's 28. I mean, he's got that length, and it's a little bit scary for me, but not that scary. I think Thiago Moises is definitely the A side of this one, and at minus 245, 260, there's not much money to be made there. I would think maybe just parlay piece, you know what I mean? But I definitely do feel confident that Moises wins this one.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I hit his line Monday morning at minus 230 before it got steamed up to about minus 260, minus 275, where it's at right now, because I knew it would. I think Moises is the better fighter everywhere this fight goes. Alvarez has not defended a single takedown in his UFC time. He's 0 for 4 on takedown attempts. 16 of his 18 wins have come by submission. He's going against a guy in Moises who is an IBJJF world champion. He's not going to submit him, especially the way that he gets his submissions. 15 of his 16 submissions are off of his back.
Right.
So he's got guillotines and triangles off his back. There's no way Moises is getting caught in anything like that.
No.
And he's not one to go and use his offensive wrestling and to get this fight to the mat. He's the one that gets taken down, and he's the one that cinches his up off of his back. He doesn't initiate the grappling, whereas Moises will initiate the grappling, and then he will easily get the takedown. Yes. And then on the feet, Moises, I think, is the much more technical striker. Look what he did against Alexander Hernandez. He didn't even need to take it to the mat. He beat the brakes off of him. And I was confident in Hernandez in that spot. I thought Hernandez would be able to win the exchanges on the feet. Moises looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal in that fight. And he's going up And he's going up against a guy in Alvarez who doesn't use his reach and his length well. He doesn't come forward. He lets his opponents dictate the pace and where the range is set at. And I think Moises is going to hammer him with low kicks, and then until he gets on the inside, throw some heavy punches, heavy hooks, and then get him down to the mat and control him, and just grind out an easy win. It's such a massive. This is the easiest fight since Kurt Holloway for Moises.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure. And mind you, this is only the second time that he's been a favorite in his UFC career. So he's been a dog for a majority of his fights. He's been dog against Dariush, Michael Johnson, Bobby Green, Alexander Hernandez, and we're talking big dogs too. You know?
Yeah, strange, but I think people are finally starting to come around to seeing that this 26-year-old is for real. High ceiling.
Yeah, I do think he's got the skills. I mean, he's still super young. He's only 26, and look at all the fights he has
Yeah.
already, and who he's
Yeah.
beaten and who he's fought against. He took a 5-round fight on short notice against Islam Makhachev and went almost 4 full rounds.
Yeah, he looked pretty good too. He's a killer. He's a tough dude.
Yeah, I'm just very high on Moises here. I think his ceiling is very high. I think he's just an all-around better fighter, and I want to see him kind of grow and get back into the top 15 and fight some real contenders.
Me too.
All right, next up, we got a fight. This is going to be a banger of a fight at 170 pounds between Chaos Williams and Miguel Baeza. Right now, Baeza is the minus 140 favorite, and the comeback on Williams is a plus 120 underdog. Who do you got?
So I'm kind of low-key impressed with Miguel Baeza. Let's just say that. Whereas I'm very impressed with Chaos Williams. Miguel Baeza, I thought Matt Brown would beat him. He beat Matt Brown, but that didn't really age that well. Takashi Sato, he subbed him, and then he got beat up by Santiago Ponzinibbio, although he did fight back. That was a fairly competitive fight. 6'2", tall, welterweight, 29 years old, out of MMA Masters, against my boy from Detroit, Chaos Williams, Lansing, Michigan, fighting part-time out of Murcielago, but then now also I think he's over at Extreme Couture, I think, or somewhere else. Chaos Williams.
Yeah, he's trending over there, I think, while they're in Vegas, I think.
They have a friendly relationship, my guys, because my guy Grant Jacobs over at Murcielago is friends with Randy Couture. Anyway, Kalen Williams, Chaos, the Ox Fighter, as he is known, 27 years old only, 6 feet tall, 170, 12-2, coming off that very close fight with Matthew Semmelsberger. And Matthew's an awesome dude. I've had him on the show a couple times. He did lose a close one to Michel Pereira, but that aged well. Pereira's a beast. And other than that, he came in there killing it, knocking Alex Morono and Abdul Razak Hassan pretty much out. Alex is an awesome dude, and Alex wasn't out, but Hassan was out. Anyway, I feel Chaos Williams should be the A side here and should be the favorite. I think this is my most confident dog of the night. I'd say here is Chaos Williams. I think Chaos, and then I think the prop of Chaos by knockout. How much money is on that? It's probably like plus 300.
I think it's like plus 250. I think plus 250.
Yeah, I like Chaos Williams to win, and I like him to win by knockout.
Interesting. I'm going to be on the other side. I'm going with Miguel Baeza. I'm fairly confident in his abilities as well in this fight, especially because of how better of a technical striker he is. Chaos Williams, he's got some insane power in his hands. He's willing to brawl with anybody. He's willing to throw down, but I think Baeza fights his fight a lot better than Williams is going to be able to fight his fight. I don't see Williams coming forward stalking Baeza, because that's normally his weakness, as we saw in the Ponzinibbio fight. You can't give Baeza any room to breathe, any room to fire back, and Ponzinibbio was able to just keep him on the back foot, keep him against cage, and just pretty much smother him with volume and combinations. Williams doesn't do that. He's just looking for that one-hitter quitter to put you down. And I don't think it's going to happen against Baeza. I think he's got some good movement on the feet, and he's going to hammer the lead leg of Chaos Williams in this fight. You're talking in the Ponzinibbio fight, he threw 49 leg kicks in that fight. Chaos Williams, the most he's ever faced in the UFC thus far is 14 leg kicks. You're talking over 3 times as many leg kicks he's gonna feel in this fight. And in order to have power in your right hand, you need to lean on that lead leg. So that lead leg is gonna be compromised. I think Baeza is gonna be able to use his his length and, jab him to death, keep it at bay, use his jab straight like he normally does, and possibly put Chaos away. I like the under 2.5 rounds as well. I think it's at -135, -136. I think that's a good play, and I have Baeza winning in a firefight, but I just think he's much more technical, and he's gonna be able to push forward, put the pace, put the pressure on Williams, and hopefully his chin stays intact if he eats one of those punches. That's the only thing, that I'm worried about. Williams packs a punch, so if he overextends on one of those punches, Williams could crack him, put it away.
Right.
This is not a slam dunk, bet your bank type of play, but I feel as long as he doesn't get knocked out, Baeza is going to win this fight.
Right. My feeling is that Baeza has not beaten anyone. His best win is an old Matt Brown.
I know, but even in his loss in Ponzinibbio is better than anybody Williams has fought thus far.
I believe a lot in Matthew Semmelsberger, but I guess you can't necessarily say he's as proven as
Ponzinibbio. No.
Oh, no. So I hear you. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It really is. I mean, this is a close fight for a reason. But I just think that I believe in my boy Chaos. I think the ceiling.
No, of course, man. We're always good, and we're not going to always see eye to eye, and that's okay.
Exactly.
One of us wins, one of us loses.
Exactly. It's rare, though, because of many fights we do see eye to eye. But this one on the other side, and that's okay. All right.
It's okay.
Next up, whenever you're ready.
Moving on in the bantamweight division, we have a fight between Julio Arce and Song Yadong. Right now, Song is a -135 favorite, and the comeback on Arce is a +115 underdog. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Kung Fu Monkey, one of Judge's favorite sons, because he had 2 losses against Cody Stamann and against
no, actually it was a draw against Cody Stamann.
I know, but this is the way I'm going to present it, though. I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I feel he had 2 losses, one against Cody Stamann, one against Marlon Vera, but somehow his record shows those 2 fights as 1 win and 1 draw. And that's a crock of shit. It just complete crock of shit. Thank God Kyler Felix came by and beat him, and Kyler is not even looking that great off of his last win. But the split win over Casey Kennedy, and I felt Casey Kennedy won that fight as well. So I feel like out of Song Yadong's last 4 fights, he should be 0-4, and instead he's 2 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So the judges love this guy. Not that he's not talented. I think he's low-key talented. But I think that Julio Arce is a much better fighter. I think that out of Queens, New York, East Coast guy like yourself, 17-4, Team Tiger Schulman, they are killer strikers, and that's what Yadong usually does. Basically, look at this. If it weren't for a split decision loss against Shayman Moraes and a split decision loss against Hakeem Dawodu, both of those could easily have been considered wins, then my man here would be 19-2, and he'd be on like an 11-fight win streak. And so this guy's a killer.
At 145, no less.
Exactly. And now this is going to be at 135. He's the stronger guy. He's a more experienced guy. At 32, I like a 32-year-old against a 23-year-old any day of the week. The only time I wouldn't, maybe if it was a fight out in the street and the younger guy was the one picking the fight and struck first, maybe the speed, might be, there.
Which Song will have the speed advantage in this fight?
Yeah, he will. But I like Arce here. I really do. I think that this is one of my better bets. It's going to be a tough fight, but there's no way Arce should be the dog. I'm all over him as a dog. I think Arce wins this fight in a decision, I'd say. But you just hate to take Song Yadong to a decision because the judges will pick him. I just don't understand it. But in all honesty, I feel like his last 4 fights, I feel like he didn't win any of them.
Yeah, and, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I like Julio Arce in this fight as well. And I just think he's a much more technical striker. Absolutely. Yeah. He's got more to offer on the feet as well. He uses his range very well, uses his kicks very well. You know what you're going to get for Song. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw heavy hooks, try to get you into a firefight, and just try to out-tough you. which he's been able to do against the majority of his opponents. Well, Arce is tough. I don't believe he's never been finished by knockout. Let's just put it that way. So he's got a chin on him. He's faced really good strikers at 145 pounds like Hakeem Dawodu and Shaman Moraes. I mean, those are two killer strikers, and even Daniel Tamer.
Right.
So he's fought high-level strikers. He's been in there with tough fighters. He's beaten Dan Ige. He's beaten Julian Erosa and Andre Ewell. So he's beaten some good fighters. On the flip side, Yadong has fought really good fighters and beaten really good fighters as well.
At least on paper has beaten them, yeah.
Right. They could have gone either way. Just like Hula Arce's fights could have gone either way too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do think we're getting a good line on Arce. I do think he's the more skilled fighter, and he's the more seasoned fighter. I know they have about the same amount of fights, but Arce's been at it for a while. Song is only 23 years old. He still has a lot of room to grow, whereas Arce is in his prime, and I think him dropping down to 135, this is his weight class, and he's going to get into the top 15, with the win here. And I really do like him to win a decision. I think this fight is going to go the distance, and we're getting him to win a decision at plus 270.
That's a good wow. I like that. That's a good call. Straight bet.
In a fight, I'll take a chance on this every time. It could lose, it could win, whatever. I've been burned on it in women's MMA doing this strategy. Maybe I won't be burned on it so much in a men's fight. Hopefully not. But yeah, if you're giving me over 2-1 on a fight that I feel like it's going to be a very close split decision type of fight at over plus 200, I'm going to take a shot on that.
Absolutely.
I could lose, but I'm getting a 50-50 shot at a plus 270.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And I like Arce to win. I think he's gonna get back. He's not gonna get back. He's gonna keep it rolling, because what he did against Andre Ewell was very impressive.
Yeah, without a doubt. So basically, this fight will end with a song, and the song will be that Julio was a pain in the arse to Mr. Yadong, and thereby beating him by decision.
I like it. Okay, moving on. In the women's featherweight division, we have a fight between Felicia Spencer and Leah Letson. Right now, Spencer is a minus 310 favorite, and the comeback on Letson's a plus 245 underdog. What do you got?
Gotcha. This is a tough one, but I think Leah might be doing some blood Letsoning in in this fight against Felicia. Man, oh man, both big girls. Leah Letson was back there in the Ultimate Fighter, 5 years ago? I think it was. Her last
Hasn't
fight.
Fought in 3 years, too.
Hasn't fought in 3 years. 29 years old. She's only had 6 fights. Her wins were against girls that were not that good. And the amateur, undefeated as an amateur. I mean, she's an unknown quantity. She's a tough fighter, a rugged, strong fighter. I wish they would show her fights in the house, but on her record, but they're not. I think she won 2 fights at Tough, I think, or at least one. I think 2. I think she won 2 fights at Tough. Anyway, she barely got by Elizabeth Phillips. No, she didn't. She
won one fight on
by knockout.
Tough.
She won 1 fight in Tough. Okay, and then she knocked out Elizabeth Phillips. It doesn't mean anything. She barely got by Yulisha Stolarienko, who's a low-key tough fighter. And there's no reason to think that she's that good. Leonidas. I love the nickname, though. Leonidas. So Leonidas Letson, 29 years old. She is against Felicia Spencer, who I've had on the show several times, the Canadian, 30 years old. Leah Letson is only about an inch taller than Felicia, even though at the weigh-in they look face to face pretty much. And Felicia usually gives away height almost always, So I just think this is Felicia's fight. Felicia has coming up with 2 losses. She lost in a title fight against Amanda Nunes. She lost a split decision to Norma Dumont in a fight I thought she won, although it was very close. And that's aged fairly well because Norma's a tough girl, beating the brakes off of Aspen Ladd. So I think Felicia wins this fight. It's, you know what, though, to bet on a fight where someone hasn't fought in 3 years and it's kind of an unknown quantity. But then again, you're betting her against someone that is really tough. I don't think Felicia's going to lose the 3rd fight in a row. I really don't. But
not against Leah Letson.
No, not against Leah Letson. But then the odds of -310 to -350 is nothing. I don't know. I would put Felicia as a parlay piece, but I don't want to lay that chalk, that much chalk. Although I think she's going to win.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a get-right fight for Felicia Spencer. They want to get back on the right track. They're still trying to promote this 145-pound division. I don't know why, but they are. They're trying.
Kayla Harrison might be coming. The second coming of Ronda Rousey might be coming in the form of.
I don't know. Dana's talking about how she should stay over at PFL if she's doing so well. We'll see. Maybe that's just smoke and mirrors, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leah Letson, she's tough. I just don't think she offers really much anywhere. She's definitely the better striker of the two, but it's not like she's a world beater on the feet that she can't hang with her. She hung with Cyborg for 25 minutes. I think she can hang with Leah Letson. Yes. She's going to get on the inside. She knows what she did wrong in her last fight, and she didn't grapple. That's what she did wrong. She didn't grapple. Well, I'm pretty sure, damn sure, she's going to go there and grapple against Leah Letson. She knows she's the stronger fighter of the two. She knows she's much better on the mat, and I think she's going to get a submission victory and cash it at plus 300.
That's amazing. That's a great prop, right?
How are you going to give us plus 300 on a submission prop on a girl that's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and normally wins by submission?
Yeah, you're right. And she's Florida, just like yourself, so you got that Florida connection with her, although originally she's Canadian. I agree. I think there's some money. I would definitely sprinkle some on that. On that submission.
I feel like that's the only way to bet her. That's the only way you should
bet her.
Maybe, or parlay or inside the distance. It's either inside the distance because she can get a ground and pound finish. It's possible. If she gets her back, just pounds her out. It's possible. But I'm taking plus 300 on the submission. That's the way I feel I should be betting this fight, and that's the way I'm going to bet this fight.
Yeah, or one could also put a little bet on the fight ends inside the distance. Leah does have 3 finishes out of her 5 victories. So there's also money there if you want to be a little bit more conservative. Bet that the fight doesn't go the distance.
All right, moving on to our co-main event of the evening. We have a fight
Moving on. Go ahead.
We have a fight between Ben Rothwell and Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Right now, Rothwell is a minus 165 favorite, and de Lima is a plus 145 underdog. What do you got?
Isn't Rothwell like one of the very few guys still active who fought in the IFL, and because that organization was an organization.
I'm pretty sure he's the only one.
Might be because that organization became defunct in 2007.
Yeah,
and he fought in it, I think, several times. Anyway, let's look at Pesao, Bigfoot, Marcos Rogerio de Lima. He is 36 years old, 6'1", 265, a little bit of a shorter heavyweight, although he looked like he might have been slightly taller than 6'1" at the face-off.
Well, he was also a light heavyweight at some point.
Right. American top team. He's fought a lot of tough guys. He's been in the UFC for 7 years, and he had a few wins. He beat Igor Pokrayak. He lost to Nikita Krylov. He beat Clint Hester. He lost to Gadzhimurad and Tigolov. He beat Jeremy Kimball, lost to OSP by one of those great St. Preux chokes, formerly known as Von Flue choke. He beat Adam Wiezarek. He lost to Stefan Struve. He beat Ben Sassoli. He lost to Alexander Romanov with that forearm choke, and then came back and beat Maurice Green. He's kind of a win one, lose one, win one, lose one fighter. In fact, that's exactly what he's done. So going on his pattern, this one should be a win because for his last 10 fights, it's been a win, lose one, win one, lose one, win one. so on and so forth. So technically, if his pattern continues, he wins this fight. However, I wouldn't say that I'm making that pick yet. We got the 40-year-old. Everyone counts out the 40-year-old all the time. Everyone's like, oh no, if you're 40, all of a sudden your testosterone goes down 80% and you can barely walk down the street. Yeah, come on, bullshit. However, it is an older fighter. However, Ben Rothwell is more than just a win one, lose one fighter. However, he did have that bad patch where he lost 3 in a row, but he's fought way better fighters. And basically, he's a beast. He's a big, huge beast. He's taller, longer, bigger guy. I think some of the extra weight DeLima has is fat. I would go Ben Rothwell in this fight, but at some point Ben is going to lose a step. But I think it's not going to happen here in this fight against this opponent. So I would lay the chalk against Rothwell. I've got some pretty good confidence in that. I'd make him a parlay piece in a couple of parlays and lay the chalk on him. But the older he gets, the scarier it is to put your faith in him. But I think faith in Ben Rothwell will be rewarded in this fight, and I would bet perhaps 1 unit on that.
Yeah, it's a fight that I really didn't want to dig too deep into because I really don't like placing my money on either one of these two.
Yeah.
I do think Rothwell, is a tougher fighter of the two. I think he's a more skilled fighter of the two. I know DeLima is a really good kickboxer, but this is MMA. It's not kickboxing. We know that DeLima is a fish out of water once he hits his back. Rothwell has the grappling advantage. He could get this to the mat. He could possibly get a submission, kind of like what he did against Chris Barnett. It's definitely possible. I do think he's going to use more of his clinch game against the fence, dirty boxing, take him down, wear him out, and then I think eventually finishes him kind of late. If you have over 1.5 rounds, I really like the over 1.5 rounds, but I do think, Rothwell is live for a round 3 finish, which gets plus 1,000.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could finish him late because DeLima does tend to fade as fights go on. So you could maybe bet $10 to win 100. It's nothing crazy to bet a lot on, but I do think he gets the win and he possibly finishes him late. I like the over 1.5 rounds and possibly the under 2.5, which is at minus 162.
Like that. Well, you can say this: he beat the Barnett brothers, Chris and Josh, right? If you think about that, I'm sure that'll make you smile, right? Definitely not brothers, but to submit Josh Barnett is a big thing. Like Ben Rothwell, if he's not a black belt, he should be. Right. So I think he's got that advantage. But yeah, I think that that this would be a banger for a minute, but this won't go the distance for sure. And I think a bet on the big man, Ben Rothwell, finishing it. Midwest power from Wisconsin. Like the dude, big crazy guy, Ben Rothwell. I think definitely, like you said, I think he's got this.
All right, moving on to our main event of the evening. Yes, our main event is finally here. Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez. What a main event it is! Right now.
Go ahead.
Yes. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say. It's time for the main event of the evening with the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman, and the MMA professor, Colin Crandall. Take it away, Mr. Kerman.
All right. Our odds for this main event between Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez is minus 720 on Holloway and the comeback on Yair Rodriguez. Plus 500. Who do you got?
I mean, Rodriguez's teammates and friends and family are probably saying, "Bro, this is your chance. This is your shot, dude. Win here. You're jumping several spaces ahead of the line to get to the Australian Alexander Volkanovski." and you're only 29 years old. I mean, this would be the perfect story if Yair El Pantera Rodriguez could do it. He is a stud. At 29 years old, he's got 15 fights, which is right there, kind of in the sweet spot of the amount of fights you should have. The man's been in the UFC since he was 22 years old. He started out killing it, beat Leonardo Morales, I don't know who that is, beat Charles Rosa, which is solid, beat Dan Hooker, beat Andre Touchy-Feely, beat Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, and that aged well. Beat an old shop-worn BJ Penn, which is nothing much to that. Did get taken down about 10 times and then held down by Frankie Edgar, but that was
he got his ass beat.
He did. Smashed. He got smashed. He did. But that was a 25-year-old Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I remember that vividly. It was
and to me, like I'm, low key not excited about betting on guys that are in their early 20s. Just the maturity isn't there. So that didn't surprise me. In fact, I think I made $100 on that Edgar because I just had a feeling Edgar could do that to him. He came back. That amazing upward elbow from leaning down against the Korean Zombie. That's a highlight reel forever. Epic. Then Jeremy Stevens, that crazy accidental eye poke where Stevens was furious, and then in the rematch, he did beat him. That's 2 years and 1 month ago. The only positive on that is if you have fighters in their mid-30s or later, it's always a real question mark when they've been off a layoff. But a 29-year-old fighter that talented, no reason why his skills should have deteriorated, and he may not even be that rusty. However, damn, for your comeback fight to go against Max Holloway. Holloway is actually the older fighter, but not by much, I think. How old is Holloway? He's 29 also, the same age. Holloway's been in the sport since, I think he's been in the UFC since he was 21 even, or 20. Let me see.
I think it was 21. I think so.
9 years ago, February 2012. His first UFC fight was Dustin Poirier.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking sick and bad, terrible. Anyway, so comes up there, losing to Poirier, beating 3 tough guys, losing to Dennis Bermudez and Conor McGregor, although he showed really good against Brian McGregor. Then just a killing streak of a dozen fights, beating guys like Andre Touchy-Feely, Clay Collard, Akira Corassani, Cole Miller, Cub Swanson, Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, Jose Aldo twice, Brian Ortega, going up in weight, an ill-advised move against a bigger, tougher Dustin Poirier, who was absolutely in his prime, peaking then, but hung in there, came back and beat Edgar, lost 2 controversial fights to the champ. Some people feel he won both of them. Many people feel he won the second one for sure, but he got 2 L's. Came back and absolutely schooled Calvin Kattar. Just looked like Max Holloway 2.0 or 3.0 in that fight. 5'11" versus 5'11", even though Max did look like an inch or 3/4 of an inch taller. But basically 2 long, lanky guys, the same age. 15 fights versus 28 fights, so a lot more fights for Holloway. Holloway also, though, has a lot more miles on him. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But he's such a freaking warrior. But there's no money to be made laying minus 700 on someone. You just don't do that. I guess you do that if you're like independently wealthy and you've got 7-figure bank account, and then you want to put maybe 70,000 on Max to win an easy 10,000 maybe. But in all honesty, like, Max is not any kind of an NCAA D1 wrestler. He's not even a D2 wrestler. He's not a wrestler at all. He's got he's got a little bit of wrestling. He's got a lot of jiu-jitsu, but he likes to strike. Max likes to strike. I remember that I had a friendly fight with big, huge boxing gloves on, and with the kid when I was like 12 years old, just to see who was better. We were both started to take karate. I had a little bit of judo, and this guy had been boxing and shit, right? And I was also playing tennis and fencing, so I had all kinds of weird, crazy moves and shit, right? And this guy was like 3 inches taller than me. He had the crisp technique, but it was a kickboxing match, and he had mostly boxing. So I said, I'm just going to throw everything in the book of this dude. I threw almost every other technique I threw was spinning, right? And I was all over the place. I beat him by, I think they said it was like, if it could have been scored, 100-0. That's pretty much how badly I beat him, because the variety of techniques and stuff. But it was a silly, stupid kids fight. But anyway, I think people underestimate the fact that Yair is a really good striker. He's the fresher fighter, even though they're the same age. He's got less mileage on him. And like, to not give Yair a chance here is silly. Now, I know the thought that Max Holloway is going to piece him up, is going to laugh at his strikes, and just use his crisp boxing technique and throw in some kicks and just annihilate him. Is that possible? Yeah, it is. Could he do to Yair Rodriguez what he did to Calvin Kattar? Yeah, he could. Obviously, the odds makers think he will. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a fight that definitely has its moments. I probably would put $10 or something on Yair to win $75. I would go the over on this. Well, there's so many options in a 5-round fight. I think this fight goes the distance. But I'll tell you what, if Max wants to stand there and let Yair throw spinning elbows at him and hook kicks and question mark kicks and flying knees and shit all day, good luck not getting busted up with all the scar tissue Max Holloway has. And I think Yair's corner may be thinking about that. So I think this fight's going to be a bloody mess. And I think that it's possible Yair could win this on cuts, have the fight stopped on cuts. But I wouldn't bet a lot. I'm thinking, though, I would put a unit or a half a unit on Yair. And then I think I would put a couple units that the fight goes the distance. And especially I think it's going to go more than like 3 rounds. So I think I would put some money on over 2.5 or over 3.5. What kind of money can we get by doing those 2 prop bets, Garrett?
Well, let's see. Over 2.5 is set at -225. The over 3.5 is set at -162.
Okay, so I don't want to lay that much chalk. So I would go -3 and over 3.5. I think this fight will go the distance. With the only fear, I mean, like I said, obviously Max could stop him, but I think if Max gets cut up, that could be early as well. So I don't know. Anyway,
I think if anybody's getting cut up, it's definitely going to be Rodriguez, because he's been cut up before.
Yeah. Got less scar tissue. Oh, definitely less scar tissue than Max, though, for sure.
I just don't see what Yair is going to bring to the table that Max has not seen already. I mean, going against primarily a striker, it's in his wheelhouse. He's going to be the one pressing forward, so which is going to negate the kicks of Yair. It's going to negate the spinning attacks of Yair as well. And, Max has been in there with the best strikers in the world. You think he can't take care of Yair Rodriguez? I mean, the reason why he's this heavy of a favorite is because he deserves to be this heavy of a favorite. If he ain't fighting Volkanovski or someone of that caliber, I mean, Yair's not even ranked top 5. He's not. And you talk about a guy who hasn't fought in a while, too. So you haven't fought in a while. You haven't fought in a while, and you're coming back and fighting arguably one of the greatest fighters to ever come into the UFC.
Yeah. He could get wiped out. I'm not trying to tell anyone to take their bankroll and
the way I feel you bet on Max is if you take him by KO/decision. It's a double prop. You could take him by KO or decision, and it drops his line all the way down to -200.
Gotcha.
He's not going to get a submission, and if he wins, it's going to be a knockout or it's going to be a decision. And get that at -200. I think that's a sure thing. You know, I think that's the best way to bet on him because
What is
I
it?
think
Well, how much juice is there for Yair by KO or TKO?
plus 1100.
Because I think the cuts are going to be a real thing. And it's a crazy, shitty
Well,
thought.
I don't think so. I like none of his fights have ever stopped via cut. He's never been knocked down.
He was
He's
getting
never.
he was
You're
getting
talking,
busted up by Dustin. He was getting busted up by Dustin.
but that's Dustin Poirier.
I know.
155-pound Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I know. That's very different.
Oh,
I think I think Yair's live. I really could be wrong, but
he went 25 minutes with Dustin. Might I add?
that's true
Which is
too.
the
Yeah, Max is a
craziest
stud.
thing.
No, Max
You
is a
know,
stud. I'm not saying Max loses this fight, but I
the-
think Yair is more live than you think and the odds makers think. But that's okay.
it's
So what way would you bet? Or we're gonna say sorry to cut off your flow.
No, I was just saying, like, if you look at the murderous row of fighters that he's faced, and it's the crazy thing is he's never been knocked down.
Right, not even knocked down. Yeah.
Not even knocked down, not knocked out, knocked down.
Right.
He's taken everything and never dropped to a knee. You know how crazy that is?
No, it's crazy. I think a lot of people, including the odds makers, don't feel Yair even has his moments in this fight, and I think he definitely does.
I think he does, but I don't think he wins a round. I feel like he'll have his moments, but I just don't think he wins rounds. I don't know what he's gonna do to be able to win rounds. He's gonna have to throw more volume and land more than Holloway, and that's insanely hard to do, to out volume Max Holloway and land more than him while he's coming forward in your face. So we'll see what happens, but I got Max winning this, getting back on track. I do like the double prop of the KO decision at minus 200. I think that's arguably the best way to bet this fight.
To the max.
Yes, sir. And that's our breakdown for UFC Vegas 42. But before we go, Mr. the MMA Professor, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Fight TV MMA Power Hour every Tuesday night between 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific time. That's FITE.tv. And the archives stay up there. So if you're not able to watch at that time, just go to the MMA Power Hour. You'll go to our channel or just find the one for that date that you're watching it. The next one is going to be the 16th, Tuesday the 16th. Will be when our show is on, and we always do great interviews with some of the biggest stars in the world of MMA. We're a press credentialed show with the UFC, Bellator, PFL, and the One Championship. So check us out. We've got some good insight, great interviews, myself and Dr. Adam Rhoda. And once in a while, and we will also be on the Hannibal TV. Sometimes he'll put up our whole show. Sometimes he'll chop up different segments and just release them. But look on the Hannibal TV for the MMA Power Hour and the whole show or various different segments. Facebook also will sometimes throw it up on the Hannibal on Facebook and definitely the Hannibal on YouTube. And then, just to check me out, Colin Crandall, I've got a few thousand Instagram followers, a few thousand Twitter followers, and always love to have more. Appreciate everyone a lot. And always great to be here with my good friend from Florida, the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman. You rock, my friend.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to always have you here with us every week. You guys know where to find me at Fight Analyst LLC and the Fight Analyst LLC on Instagram and Twitter, and the Fight Analysts on Facebook. And guys, please go like Playmaker and Playmaker KO on all social platforms as well. And get my picks right now. Go to thefightanalyst.com. Get my package today. We're going to make a ton of money. We're coming up a great weekend and full week, cashing in over 8 units last week. And we're looking to make more tonight and tomorrow because we got Bellator on right now. And we got UFC tomorrow, early, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. So we will see you all cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time, you guys have a great night. Adios.
Peace.